Now let's look at a type of security threats that are unintentional. Unintentional threats can cause due to natural disaster, maybe sometimes user accidentally delete certain data, and a structural failure. In addition to backing up data and storing it securely, companies can take other steps in order to guard themselves against threats. Some of the security systems that actually can take place in order to guard the systems could be deploying biometric security measures or non-biometric security measures, physical security measures, access control, virtual private networks, as well as data encryption. And for online shopping transaction, maybe they need to worry about the e-commerce transaction security measures, and as well as computer emergency response team. Now let's see what's biometric security measures. Biometric security measures, they use the physical element that is unique to a person and that can't be lost or stolen and copied. So we have a different type of biometric security measures. One of them is facial recognition, which identify user by analyzing the unique shape and pattern of facial features. The other one is fingerprints, which scan user fingerprint and verify them against the database. The other one is hand geometry, which compares the length of each finger. Some places could use the iris analysis, which use a video camera to capture an image of the user's iris and then use a software to compare the data against the stored template and database. Then we have palm prints, which use the palm's unique characteristic to identify the users as well. Also, we have retinal scanning, which scan the retina using some kind of a camera and then check against the database as well. And we have signature analysis, which check the user signature as well as deviation in the pen pressure, speed, and length of time to use to sign, as well as vein analysis and voice recognition, which translate words into digital pattern, which are then recorded and examined for tone and pitch. Although biometric techniques are effectively secure, they might not be able, not all the organization might be able to actually implement them because of their high cost and difficult to install. Of course, there are a lot of improvements is being done to address the drawbacks of biometrics, and in the near future it would be a very viable alternative to traditional security measures. We used a lot of these biometrics that we just talked about in today's live. For example, hospitals, they use actually fingerprint scanning for single sign-on to access medical records. A lot of doctors and nurses, they always complain that in order to actually access medical records, they need to know a lot of different passwords. And so some hospitals, they have actually switched to a fingerprint scanners, which it could be used with a single sign-on application, which is fingerprint is more secure, and so maybe you will forget the password and maybe you would lost a smart card, but you cannot lose the fingerprint or your fingers basically in order to log in. Now let's talk about non-biometric security measures. There are three main biometric security measures. One of them is callback modem, the other one is firewall, and the other one is intrusion detection system. What is a callback modem? Callback modem verifies whether user access is valid by logging off the users from the system. This method is useful for companies which they have a lot of employees who work off-site and they need to connect via remote locations. The other one is firewall. Firewall is a combination of hardware and software that can act as a filter or barrier between a private network and external computers or network. This also includes internet. Of course, network administrators, they have to define rules for access and basically block all other data transmission. We have three types of main firewall. One of them is packet filtering firewall, the other one is application filtering firewall, and the last one is proxy servers. In this diagram, we can see the basic firewall configuration. Basically, firewall can decide which data to pass and which data not to pass. So it is actually looking at the data that's passing in through the private network and decide whether to allow them or not. Information that is being transmitted is stored in what's called packet. And after looking at the packet, firewall can take some of the actions such as rejecting them, send warning to the network administrator, send a message to packet center that the attempt is failed, or allow the packet to enter the private network. This picture, you can see a proxy server. Proxy server can act as an intermediary between two systems, the network and the internet. Proxy server can actually scan the traffic that comes in for viruses or any malware. It can also speed up network traffic or take some load off network servers. Another non-biometric security measure is intrusion detection servers. The intrusion detection systems protect against external and internal access. They can be placed in front of the firewall, and it can basically protect both from external and internal access. They can actually identify attack signatures, trace patterns, generate alarms for the network administrator, and cause router to terminate connection with suspicious sources. These systems can also prevent denial of service attacks. A lot of third-party tools that are available for intrusion detections. Some of the vendors are Cisco Systems, IBM Internet Security Systems, Jupyter Networks, and Checkpoint Software Technology. Another way to secure our systems is to use physical security measures. Physical security measures primarily control access to computers and network. They include devices for securing computers and peripherals from theft. Some of the common physical security measures could be one, cable shielding, which is braided layers around the conductor cable which protect it from electromagnetic interference. There is another one called corner bolts, which is an inexpensive way to secure a computer to a desktop or counter. They often have locks, and you can actually use that for additional protection against theft. Electronic tracker, which these devices are secured to a computer at the power outlet. If the power cord is disconnected, the transmitter sends a message to an alarm that goes off. And then the identification badge, which they can also be checked against a list of authorized personnel. Proximity release door openers, they are an effective way to also control access to the computer room. A small radio transmitter is placed in authorized employee ID badge, and when they come within a predetermined distance of the computer room, the door opens. Also, room shielding, a non-conductive material which is sprayed in the computer room, which reduces the number of signal transmitted to the computer room. Also, steel encasements, which these fit over the entire computer, and it can also be locked. Access control are another security measures that we can take to protect our systems. The access controls, they are designed to protect systems from unauthorized access in order to preserve data integrity. There are two widely used access control. One of them is called terminal resource security, and the other one is password. Terminal resource security is a software which erases the screen and signs the user off automatically after a specific length of inactivity. This method of access control prevents unauthorized access from using an unattended computer to access the network and data. And password, which most of us know what that is a combination of numbers, characters, and symbols that is entered to allow users to a system. A password length and complexity determines its vulnerability that is discovered by unauthorized user. For example, in a lot of cases, we might have to choose a harder password to guess by using, caps, or, using numbers or signs. And sometimes the password should be at least certain length, maybe 8 characters or longer, and use combination of both numbers and letters and lowercase and uppercase as well. So what is a virtual private network? Virtual private network also provides a secure tunnel through the internet for transmitting messages and data via a private network. It's often used so that the remote users can have actually access to a secure connection to the organization network. VPN can also be used to provide security for extranet, which are networks set up between an organization and external entity, normally a supplier. Data is encrypted before it's sent through the tunnel with a protocol, such as Layer 2 tunneling protocol or also Internet Protocol security. The cost of setting up a VPN is normally low, but transmission speed can be slow. And so normally a user has to first connect through the VPN and then will get access to the organization.